Hey everyone, Jedi Luke here. Today I'm going to be doing something that I'm kind of nervous about. I actually received a new case from Glorious for my GMMK compact keyboard because when I took this keyboard apart, there were actually a couple screws on the case that were corroded and broke. I was able to put it back together and everything works. I took it apart when I was lubing the switches as well as lubing the stabilizers, clipping the stabilizers, and doing the Band-Aid mod. So I figured I have another case. Why don't I try doing something a little different, like painting it? So what I'm going to be doing today is taking apart, re-clipping, lubing these stabilizers. I already have the switches lubed, so I don't have to do that again because that takes forever. I'm going to Band-Aid mod this keyboard as well as paint it. Because right now, this case is just normal, nothing really too special about it. So with this, to match my setup, what I'm going to be doing is going kind of a blue, white, and black, because obviously this is a white and black setup. Never done this before, first time for everything. It's kind of nice to have two. I think I actually might paint the one with the broken screws just to be safe, and then I have this one to fall back on if it doesn't work. So let's try this out. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is using the keycap puller and taking off all of these keycaps. And if you have not watched my first build video, obviously you should go back and watch this because you can see these are the Glorious white Aura keycaps, double shot PBT. These are linear, and as you can see in here, these are already lubed and super quiet. So let's continue on, shall we? And out came the switch. So here are the switches, and again, we're not going to be doing much with these because they're already lubed and they sound fine still. So you're leaving those the way that they are. One thing I'm curious to see once I get this taken apart is what the Band-Aid mod looks like for the spacebar stabilizer, because it started out being super quiet, but now it's actually somewhat loud. So I'm interested to see what's holding up, and maybe I might have to double Band-Aid mod it moving forward. So we'll just have to check this out. Keycaps are off. Time to get all these switches taken out. The next thing we are going to do is take these screws out, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws on the front, and this is what attaches the plate to the actual case. Go ahead and get this taken apart. So it turns out there's actually 10 screws. There are 2 more right here that I forgot to count. The next thing we're going to do before we take this off is take out the stabilizers, and these are just clip-in stabilizers. So they have this tiny little clip right here that if you push it in, pulls out just like that. Get the other side, do the same thing. They just pull right out. Clip in stabilizers and you can see the band-aids underneath. So here's one stabilizer out. Now all the stabilizers are out. Now that we have everything unscrewed, we can go ahead and take the plate off. Here is the PBT. These are where they have some of the screws holding the PBT onto the faceplate. So you can see here, these tiny little foam coverings are covering these screw heads. So we need to go ahead, hold these up, and there's the screw. And here we have 4 of these bad boys. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 of them are broken. So again, this is the broken one. I'm gonna go ahead, get these screws taken out. So I also wanna make sure I give a quick shout out to Glorious and their customer service team. When I contacted them and let them know that 2 of these screws were broken, they went right off and they're like, we'll just go ahead and send you a new case. Because even though all I needed was a new plate, new PBT, they went ahead, went above and beyond and sent me a whole new case. So here is the current PBT with the Band-Aid mod. As you can see, is each place the stabilizer would touch, we took a Band-Aid, cut it, put some dielectric grease down, and so that helps mute that sound when the stabilizer hits the PBT. Definitely makes it a lot quieter, and I think what happened here, this Band-Aid did not come down far enough. So the next one I do, I'm gonna make sure I have that Band-Aid mod come all the way from the top to the bottom, so there's no extra space where that stabilizer can hit the PBT. All right, here is the bottom of this case. One thing we have to do is take these feet off, these rubber feet, this sticker, and get these legs popped out so that we can go ahead and get this painted. All right, now we are going to be sanding down, preparing the keyboard and the case for being painted. So the first thing you're gonna need is some wet and dry sandpaper. I have the 800 count. You can also get 800 to 2000. Doesn't really matter. I'm doing this to make it a little rougher. You also need your water with some soap. And then here are the paint colors I'm gonna be using. I'll be using this lighter blue, this white, this darker blue, possibly this black if I ever need to. Sand it out. One of the main reasons you want to use soap and water is to make sure you get any grease or oils off. Remember, I had already lubed this up prior and been using this, so I want to make sure I get everything off of it. Now I'm going to go rinse these off with some just regular water so I can get all the soap off, and then time to let them dry. So the case has been washed and sanded and dried off. So the first thing we're gonna do with the bottom piece is we're gonna be painting this bottom layer right here, blue. And then we're gonna be doing black spray paint on this side. And then we're gonna be doing the rest of it all white. I don't know if it's gonna turn out, but we're gonna try it and see what it looks like. And if it fails, then hopefully it fails, but still looks cool. Alright, so you guys already saw me open this, take it apart when I built the GMMK the first time. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this opened up, get it taken apart, get the stabilizers taken out so that we can go ahead, snip those, Band-Aid mod everything, and then we should be good to put it back together and do a sound test. Have all the screws out, Now I'm gonna pop out these stabilizers. So you can see here with this stabilizer, we're gonna take this out. That's the stabilizing arm. And within this casing, you'll see two little pieces. So what we're gonna do with snipping is there are two little arms on the back of this stabilizer right here and this side. And literally, we're gonna take our snips and snip those off. That's it. Because those little things are what hit the PBT and really mess it up. So when you see me using those little snips, that is what I am doing. And to be safe, I'm gonna keep stuff on this paper towel so that we do not get any grease on this mouse pad. What I am doing now is making sure that we do not have any grease on the PBT so that the Band-Aid pieces stick well. This is what it looks like now. This is what it's gonna look like, just a little prettier. So in order to do this, you need actually a few things. This is some Krytox grease that I actually got off of Amazon. You need a switch puller, obviously. You need some fabric Band-Aids, and you'll see why. You need these little snippers, also got those off Amazon, as well as some dielectric grease. I got this off of Amazon as well, but I think you can get this from pretty much anywhere. So the first thing we do is get out our fabric Band-Aid, snip this, and then snip it again. That is a little big. Because that is a little big, we're actually gonna snip this down just a hair more. And just to be safe, I am going extra large on my Band-Aids. So I'm gonna go ahead, get these clipped using this one for reference. Now let's get this stuck down. Look at that, plenty of space. All right, time to finish up the rest of this. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more of these bad boys. So a trick I found in doing this a little easier is to go ahead and get this cut, then pull the back off, and finish cutting it like this. Because I have struggled so bad before with getting these backs off. All right, the PBT has been Band-Aid modded. Now the last thing we're gonna do is take our dielectric grease and a little tool. This is just a random like earwax grabber, pimple popper thing. And I'm just gonna be using it to take the dielectric grease and put a good amount on these little Band-Aid pieces. As you can see, I am putting a generous amount on. All right, dielectric grease has been put on. Now it is time to clip and lube up the stabilizers. So for this next piece, I'm actually gonna be doing this on a paper towel just because I do not wanna get this mouse pad greasy. So first up, let's go ahead and get these stabilizers clipped. So here are the little clippers that we have. So like I was saying, we're just gonna take that little leg right there and snip it off. Easy as that. Now remember, there are 4 legs at the bottom of this stabilizer. You want to clip off the ones that have the little point. Leave the flat ones there. So that is what the stabilizer looks like when it's finished. So now we are gonna go and get this greased up. One thing we are gonna do is we're gonna take this side and we're gonna really stuff it in here to get that good and greased. I'm gonna go ahead and put this piece in here then. We're gonna take our dielectric grease and really try to get that lubed up. What I'm doing with this Kryton grease here is I'm actually gonna be putting it on the edges of these little pieces of where they're gonna be rubbing against the edges in here. Now you're gonna take the side with the 2 holes and that goes to the front. Now as we go in here, we're gonna be going all the way past the elbow with our dielectric grease. Get it in here, make sure there's plenty in that where there's gonna be movement, and go ahead, get it snapped in. There's one side. Now we are gonna be repeating that the rest of these pieces. One done. Super greasy. Get this finished out. Stabilizers are done. Time to put the PBT that has been Band-Aid modded, greased up back onto the case. We want to be careful here that we do not get any grease where it shouldn't be. It's on. You can see Band-Aids there. Let's get these stabilizers in. So similar to how we took them out, take the bar, put it right in. It's gonna be a little more tight now, and you just clip right in. So these are clip-in stabilizers. They are not MX Cherry stabilizers. I don't even know what stabilizers these are. They came with. Stabilizers are in. Now just to make sure everything is working, I'm gonna go ahead, get this back on the case, and then at least put these switches on so we can see how everything sounds to make sure I did not put any of these in backwards. Now let's get a few of these switches put in. And again, remember I already lubed these switches up. So we can go ahead, get this in here. All right, I think that sounds awesome though. So what seems like it might be the issue is the case looks like it's almost warped because the switch isn't able to sit all the way in. There's a tiny little gap there that you can see, and that I think is causing the switch to stick out further than it should. So that might be the PBT a little warped, or the case might be a little warped. I'm not sure. But we're just gonna go ahead, get this put back together because I think it still sounds great. We are going to now finish putting in the switches and then putting on the keycaps. And then we'll do a full sound test and see how everything turned out. Switches are done. Now it's time to put on the keycaps. But one thing I wanted to show you guys first before I went ahead and put on the keycaps was to show you how exactly I lube these switches before I put them in here. Here is one of the Gateron red switches that I am using for this keyboard. Something that you're gonna need in order to lube these switch is a tiny little screwdriver. They also have switch openers that you can use. We're gonna go ahead and put this in here. Get those two front teeth unclipped right there, as you can see. Turn it around, and then you're gonna wanna do the same thing on this side. And it's gonna pull apart. There is the spring. Then here is the actual switch, little red piece that fits in this arm. So let me show you quick what I had to do in lubing this. So looking at the spring, you want to lube both sides here. You want to lube this side as well as that side. You want to use a tiny little brush and use the Keycaps grease that I was showing you guys. And you also want to lube around that little place where the spring goes. You also want to lube both sides of the spring so it sets in there, and then you set it in there just like that. The next piece is the little red piece that the keycap is going to hold on to. And what you want to do is you want to grease up or lube both of these edges right here. So See those little edges? With this little housing here. So you can see, this is how this goes in here. And as it's moving, it is gliding up and down across those. And so that lube just helps that be ever more smooth. And that is how I lubed all of the switches for my keyboard. It took a very long time, and I'm very happy that I do not have to do it again. But I do highly recommend it for those of you that want to do it. It is just very time consuming. Now let's go ahead and do a typing test and see how it sounds. Good to go. All right, look at that. It is painted and dried, and personally, I think it looks sweet. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead, get this put back together, get the finished product. I think I also might put the stabilizers in just so we can get the full effect of how it would look prior to the keycaps and these switches going on. So let's get this thing put together. Here it is without stabilizers. I think it looks sweet. That is definitely a nice looking keyboard. That is a sweet paint job, if I do say so myself. All right, stabilizers are in. That, my friends, looks great. Compare this quickly to the board. Obviously, hard comparison because you still have the keycaps on here. But let's switch this over quick and see how she looks. Not even a close comparison. That looks awesome. Who knows? Might end up having to switch the keycaps over and start using this one. But for now, this is just gonna be up on the wall. All right, so in conclusion, wrapping up this experience, I have to say I do enjoy it. And who knows, if anyone wants to buy this and gives me a good enough offer, or if they want me to do it to their own, feel free to message me. I'll put my contact info below. But really like how this turned out. I think it looks sweet. Whether I'm going to be actually using it or just putting it up on the wall next to my painted Fortnite Nerf AR, who knows? I just really appreciated the opportunity and the experience in using this. And again, shout out to Glorious for sending me this extra case for this Band-Aid mod, lube, switch clip. Really happy with this as well. Sounds so good. Yeah, sounds so good. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll catch you next time as we continue to improve and build things together, and who knows what we're going to be doing next. I am almost finished with the whole office, and once I do, then I can post part 2 of the office setup video. But as of right now, remember, I love you, God loves you, continue to improve every single day. Thanks. Bye.